Have you ever secretly wondered whether your spiritual practice counts at all, when most of your day is spent commuting, answering emails, cooking, and cleaning up after children? Have you ever quietly thought, since I am not a monk or nun, since I live in this noisy, messy world, is my path automatically lower, weaker, or doomed to be unfinished? Welcome back, my friend. Thank you for meeting me again in this space where we explore awakening, wisdom, cause and effect, compassion, practice, and destiny. Today we are going to walk straight into a question that lives in the heart of many modern practitioners, but rarely gets answered honestly as a layperson. Busy with work, family, and responsibilities, can you really learn the Dharma in a way that leads to genuine awakening? Or are you destined to be forever second class on the spiritual road? The original story we are expanding today starts from a very familiar I am not ordained. I am always busy. I cannot sit in meditation for hours every day. Is my practice even useful? It then reveals something many people forget from the perspective of the Dharma. The difference between a monastic and a lay follower is not about spiritual rank, but about lifestyle and conditions. The real dividing line is not the shape of your robe, but the direction of your heart. So in this long journey together, I want to sit with you as a friend and storyteller. We will walk from the ancient days of the Buddha, when lay followers stood among the earliest disciples, into the complex world of modern life with offices, traffic jams, and school runs. We will meet people who tried to hide from life behind stacks of Dharma books and people who discovered that their real meditation cushion was the floor of their kitchen. We will slowly uncover 5 keys that a lay practitioner can hold on to, even in the busiest seasons of life, to make sure that their practice is not just a decoration, but a real force that reshapes their destiny. Let us begin with a picture from long ago. In the early days, when the Buddha first turned the wheel of the Dharma, in the deer park, the first disciples were indeed monks, 5 ascetics who had followed him before, now sitting before him as he spoke of the middle way, of suffering and its end. From those days onward, the monastic community grew like grains of sand along a wide river. Robes and shaved heads became the visible symbol of a life fully dedicated to awakening. But if you read the old stories more carefully, you will see that monks and nuns were never the only ones walking beside the Buddha. In the crowded markets, in the streets of ancient cities, in the homes of merchants and farmers, there were lay followers who held the Dharma just as deeply in their hearts. Some were wealthy patrons. Some were ordinary villagers. They bargained in the marketplace by day, and read or recited the teachings by the light of an oil lamp at night. They had parents to care for, partners to support, children to raise. Their days were woven with rice, cloth, debts, and arguments. But in the middle of all this, they were also cultivating something invisible, a mind that remembered cause and effect, a heart that slowly turned toward compassion, a resolve to bring the Buddha's wisdom into real life instead of keeping it on a shelf. The scriptures paint vivid portraits of lay practitioners. Think of the famous patron known in English as Anathapindi Kaur, the giver to the poor, who bought land at an enormous price to build a monastery where the Buddha could teach. Or think of Vyamalakirti, a layman whose understanding was so profound that even great disciples and bodhisattvas found themselves exposed by his sharp questions. Vyamalakirti did not shave his head. He did not live in a forest hut. He moved among people, in cities full of noise and business. Yet his mind was so grounded in emptiness, so steeped in compassion, that when great practitioners came to visit him, they did not find a distracted householder. They found a mirror that reflected their own blind spots. There is a famous scene where many noble bodhisattvas gather to discuss what it means to enter the non-dual Dharma gate. One by one, they offer their explanations, letting go of words, transcending subject and object, going beyond ideas of gain and loss. Their words are lofty and beautiful. Then it is Vyamalakirti's turn. He simply remains silent. That silence is not blank ignorance. It is a silence rooted in direct realization. a silence that speaks of a mind beyond fragmentation. The story tells us that his silence was the deepest answer. Now, you might be thinking, that is inspiring. But I am not Vyamalakirti. I am just a person who has to show up at work, pay bills, and deal with crying children and moody relatives. How does this help me? It helps because these stories are not there to make us feel small. They are there to remind us that the Dharma does not belong only to monasteries. It belongs to anyone whose heart is sincerely seeking truth, no matter what clothing they wear. The real question is not am I ordained, but how am I using my ordinary life? Let us step into the present and meet someone whose life might look a lot like yours. His name could be Aaron. He lives in a large city and works as a designer. Deadlines and overtime are as common to him as clouds in the sky. His phone vibrates constantly. His computer is always open. Creativity is his job, but stress is his daily companion. By his late 20s, Aaron's life looked successful from the outside. Good income, modern apartment, lively social media feed. Inside, he felt like a machine running without pause. Short temper, shallow sleep, constant comparison with others. One day, exhausted and numb, he followed a colleague into a temple, more out of curiosity than devotion. That day, a teacher happened to be giving a talk on cause and effect. The teacher spoke in simple words, not trying to impress anyone. He described how every thought, word, and action is a seed. How these seeds ripen as moods, events, and relationships. How our lives are not random accidents but woven from countless causes and conditions. As Aaron listened, he felt as if someone was reading his life story line by line. The teacher spoke of people who were proud of their temper, who believed that their anger made them strong. He spoke of those who sacrificed their health for work, and of those who refused to apologize even when they knew they were wrong, because their ego could not bow. Aaron felt exposed. He saw himself in every example. After that talk, he started exploring the Dharma. He took refuge, received a Dharma name, and officially became a lay practitioner. His enthusiasm was intense. He bought stacks of books, binge-watched Dharma talks, and signed up for every ceremony and retreat he could fit into his schedule. His altar at home grew more and more elaborate. Incense, statues, chanting devices. On the outside, he looked like a serious practitioner. On the inside, his temper, anxiety, and impatience remained largely unchanged. He still snapped at colleagues. He still scrolled his phone late into the night. He still lost patience with his family. One evening, after he had just finished an especially long chanting session, his wife quietly said, "You chant much more now, but your volume when you scold people has not decreased." The sentence hit him like a bucket of cold water. He realized, with a mixture of shame and confusion, that his way of learning the Dharma had mostly been about adding new decorations to his life, not transforming his mind. He had turned the Dharma into information, into identity, into a hobby. He had not yet used it as a mirror. In frustration, he went to see an experienced teacher. "Teacher," he said, "I do not understand. I have read and listened so much. Why do I feel even more confused?" The teacher did not answer immediately. He simply looked at Aaron for a long moment and then asked one question. "Tell me, why are you learning the Dharma?" It sounded like the simplest question, yet Aaron froze. In the past, he might have quickly answered, "To eliminate bad karma, to be safe, to get blessings for my job and family." Now, those answers felt shallow. He slowly realized that he did not truly know his own motivation. The teacher finally spoke. Learning the Dharma is not about collecting spiritual decorations. It is about awakening. It is about understanding cause and effect so deeply that you are willing to change the direction of your life. It is about moving, step by step, from living only for yourself to caring about the suffering of others. If you are not willing to work in your own heart, all the knowledge in the world is just an ornament. Then the teacher picked up a pen and drew 2 lines on the table. One long, one short. Monastics walk this long line. They leave home, leave worldly responsibilities, and dedicate most of their time to practice. The line is long because they have given almost everything to this one direction. Lay practitioners walk this shorter line. It looks shorter because you still have family, work, and social responsibilities. You cannot spend every hour in meditation or study. But do not underestimate this shorter line. If you use every moment wisely, if you constantly bring the Dharma into your choices, this line can extend through many lifetimes and become longer than you can imagine. Those words remained in Aaron's heart, like a bell echoing through a valley. He realized that the problem was not that he was a layperson. The problem was that he treated practice as something separate from his real life. As a result, his spiritual life and his everyday life were like 2 parallel tracks that never met. From that day onward, his approach changed. Instead of asking, "How many texts have I read?" he started asking, "How many times today did I use the Dharma to change my reactions?" Every time he felt anger rising, he treated it as a chance to practice patience. Every time he felt jealousy, he treated it as a chance to practice rejoicing in others. Every time he felt despair, he treated it as a chance to remember cause and effect and take one more step instead of collapsing. He was still busy. He still had deadlines. His children still cried at inconvenient times. But slowly, his days stopped feeling like a war between worldly life and spiritual life. They became one continuous field of training. This is the heart of lay practice. Now, you might ask, that sounds inspiring. But what does it look like in detail? What can I actually hold on to, day after day, so I do not drown in chaos? Let us now talk about 5 keys, not 5 complicated doctrines. 5 living principles that lay practitioners across time have used to stay on the path while cooking, working, and caring for the people around them. The first key is trust. Without trust, practice is like a house built on sand. Here, trust does not mean blind superstition. It means a living confidence in the awakening of the Buddha, the truth of the teachings, and the integrity of genuine spiritual community. Trust says, even though I cannot yet see clearly, I believe that the Dharma points to reality, not fantasy. I believe that cause and effect are real, that my actions matter, that compassion is not weakness, that wisdom is not an ornament but a necessity. Trust lets you keep walking when results are not yet visible. Trust reminds you that this life is not the only chapter, that the story of your consciousness extends beyond this one body. Trust allows you to change your behavior now, even when it feels uncomfortable, because you see that the long-term direction matters more than short-term comfort. Trust is what lets a lay practitioner choose honesty over quick gain, choose kindness over revenge, choose patience over explosion, not because they are naive, but because they know that in the long run these choices shape a lighter destiny. The second key is ethics. Many people hear the word precepts and immediately think of restriction. They imagine a list of do-not rules designed to limit their freedom. From another angle, precepts are like guardrails along a mountain road. They protect you from driving off the cliff. For a layperson, the basic commitments are simple to describe in lifelong: to cultivate, not to kill, not to steal, not to engage in harmful sexual behavior, not to lie, and not to cloud the mind with intoxicants and addictions. Do you keep them perfectly? Probably not. That is why it is called practice. But every step you take in this direction is actually a step toward a more stable life. When you refrain from harmful speech, even though gossip would feel satisfying, you are protecting your relationships from future poison. When you choose not to cheat or manipulate, you are protecting your future from complicated karmic knots. When you reduce behaviors that lead to loss of control, you are protecting your clarity, and with it, your immunity to destructive impulses. In the short term, ethics sometimes feels like loss of advantage, loss of fun, loss of face. In the long term, It is protection. It keeps you from planting seeds that will later ripen as disasters. The third key is steadiness and understanding. These two, often called concentration and wisdom, sound lofty, but they can be very simple in daily life. Steadiness means the capacity to keep your mind from being pulled in 10,000 directions every waking second. Understanding means seeing clearly enough that you stop repeating the same mistakes forever. You do not need to sit for hours in perfect posture to begin cultivating this. Steadiness can begin when you give yourself 5 unbroken minutes each morning without your phone, simply watching your breath, or when you eat one meal without any screens, paying attention to taste, smell, and gratitude, or when you decide not to respond to every notification immediately, but to check your device at certain times instead of letting it own your attention. These small trainings are not trivial. Each one is a way of telling your nervous system, you do not have to chase every stimulus. You can stay. From steadiness, understanding grows. When you become a little less reactive, you begin to notice pattern. You see that the same kind of conflict appears again and again in different clothing. You see that certain thoughts always led to the same kind of behavior and the same kind of result. You start to witness cause and effect in your own life, not as a theory but as direct experience. That witnessing is wisdom. You might suddenly see, whenever I feel ignored, I start a fight to prove I exist. That leads to more distance, which makes me feel even more ignored. I am feeding my own loneliness. Or, whenever I feel anxious, I run to my phone or food. That numbs me for a moment, but the anxiety returns stronger. I am feeding my own fear. When you see such chains clearly, you gain the power to interrupt them. That is wisdom in action. The fourth key is action. Practice is not only about what happens on a cushion or in a shrine room. The word practice itself means to correct and refine what you do. If the only place where you are spiritual is in front of an altar, then your practice is still thin. The real testing ground is the kitchen, the office, the noisy street, the family dining table, the place where tempers flare and misunderstandings arise. Action means turning insight into behavior. You might realize that your words often hurt your partner. Action means training yourself to pause before speaking and choosing gentler language. You might see that your child is learning anger from your example. Action means lowering your voice, saying I am sorry, and showing them a different model. You might notice that you have enough money for small luxuries while others struggle for basics. Action means cutting a piece from your income and using it to support those in real need or to sustain spiritual places that benefit many. You might see that your workplace is full of shortcuts and corruption. Action means choosing integrity, even if it costs you popularity, and maybe even work, trusting that cause and effect will take care of the rest. These actions are not glamorous. No one may applaud. The universe does. The seeds you plant here will ripen as a lighter, clearer future. The fifth key is seeing your everyday life as your main training ground, not as a distraction from it. Let me tell you about someone who discovered this in a very personal way. She could be called Maria. She married into a large family. Her relationship with her mother-in-law was tense from the beginning. Her husband was kind but not very emotionally skilled. He often failed to mediate between them. Arguments became routine. Small differences exploded into big scenes. Maria cried often and complained to anyone who would listen. She felt like a victim of destiny. Why am I stuck in a family like this? Later, she encountered the Dharma and began to pray and chant every day. At first, her approach was simple. She asked for relief. Please make my mother-in-law nicer. Please make my life smoother. One day, while listening to a teaching on karma, something shifted. The teacher said, if everything is only someone else's fault, you will always be stuck as a victim. If you are willing to consider that your own past actions and tendencies also play a role, then suddenly you have power. You can change yourself, and by changing yourself you may change the pattern. These words pierced her. From then on, During her morning prayers, she added a new sentence. Please give me more wisdom and compassion, so I can interact differently. Please let me see my own part in this. The next time an argument rose up, her mother-in-law's words were just as sharp as before. Maria felt her face flush, her anger rising like boiling water. She was ready to fire back with a sentence that would hit hard. In that instant, she remembered her morning prayer. It did not suddenly remove the pain, but it gave her just enough space to choose differently. She swallowed the harsh sentence and instead said, "If I did something you do not like, I can't try to adjust." Her mother-in-law was shocked. She was used to fighting. This new response confused her. The argument died down more quickly than usual. That night, Maria went in front of her altar and cried. "I felt so wronged," she told the Buddha in her heart. "I did not enjoy restraining myself, but I did it because I want things to change." She did not become an angel overnight. She still lost her temper sometimes. But slowly, her persistence had an effect. Her mother-in-law began to soften. Illness and age eventually made her dependent on help. Guess who she trusted the most? The daughter-in-law who had learned to restrain herself and respond with more kindness. Relatives later said, "You are lucky. Your mother-in-law came to rely on you and cared about you deeply at the end of her life." Maria would quietly smile and think, "It was not luck. It was the Dharma teaching me to see cause and effect." Was she a great preacher? No. Did she produce famous commentaries? No. Did her practice change her destiny and the atmosphere of her home? Very clearly, yes. This is the power of lay practice. It does not require you to become someone else. It asks you to become a more awake version of yourself, right where you already stand. Imagine life as a river. Most people are simply pushed along by the current. When they hit rocks, they curse the rocks. When they are pulled into whirlpools, they despair. A lay practitioner is in the same river. They do not suddenly fly above the water. They still feel cold and fear and exhaustion, but they slowly learn to take up the oar of awareness. They learn to read the current of cause and effect. They stop thinking, "I am completely powerless," and start realizing, every choice I make is a small movement of the oar. You choose patience. The river bends slightly differently. You choose honesty. A new branch of the river opens. You choose compassion instead of revenge. And something subtle but real changes downstream. Is this easy? No. Is it glamorous? Usually not. Is it real? At this point, some people ask, but can a lay person really attain deep realization? Will I always be inferior to those who leave home? From the perspective of the Buddha, every being has the nature of awakening. The difference between monastic and lay is about lifestyle and responsibility, not about inherent capacity. Monastics leave behind many worldly tasks so they can focus more fully. Lay practitioners stay in the world, carrying family and social duties. These are like two different kinds of vehicles on the same road. One is like a long-distance train, built for continuous travel. The other is like a car that must navigate crowded city streets. The car may not go as fast on open tracks, but it can reach places the train cannot. A lay practitioner, living among people, has countless chances every day to train in patience, generosity, and forgiveness. In the middle of marriage, parenting, work pressure, and social conflict, the raw materials of awakening are always in reach. The key is not to compare, but to use what you have. I once heard the story of a young man, let us call him Daniel, who encountered the Dharma in his 20s and was deeply moved. For a while, he thought the only real way to practice was to become a monk as soon as possible. He went to a senior teacher and poured out his aspiration. "I want to leave home. Then I will be able to practice properly." The teacher listened carefully and then asked, "What about your parents? How are they?" "They are aging," Daniel replied. "They have some health issues." They are not very independent. The teacher nodded. And who is caring for them now? Mostly me, Daniel admitted. My siblings are far away. The teacher looked at him kindly. Then for now, your monastery is your home. The best practice for you is to care for your parents, fulfill your responsibilities, and bring the Dharma into those daily interactions. Later, if conditions are right, you can consider ordaining again. But do not think that the only sincere practice is inside monastery walls. Right now, your parents are your teachers. Your family is your training ground. Daniel did not ordain. Instead, he took that advice seriously. He studied, meditated when he could, and treated every visit to the doctor with his parents, every frustrating conversation, every night of caregiving, as part of his training. Years later, he said, when I was young, I thought sitting on a cushion for hours was the highest practice. Now I see that chopping vegetables for my parents, listening to their repeated stories, holding my temper when they blame me for things beyond my control, all of that has sanded down my pride much more than I expected. It has shown me where my compassion is real and where I am still pretending. This is lay practice in its purest form. Not running away from life, but walking into it with the Dharma as your compass. Of course, the path is not smooth. There will be times when you are lazy, doubtful, or discouraged. Times when you look at yourself and think, I have been practicing for years, but my anger is still here. My desire is still strong. My life is not suddenly problem-free. What is the point? In those moments, I want you to imagine this: you are in a dark room, full of furniture. At first, the lights are completely off. You walk around bumping into chairs and tables, hurting yourself, feeling confused and frustrated. But because you are in total darkness, you do not even know what you are hitting. You just think, life is painful and unfair. Then one day, someone brings you a small lamp. The room is still dim, but now you can see a little. You see that there is a chair in front of you. You see that there is a table at your side. You begin to understand why you keep bumping into them. Do you still bump into things? Yes. Do you still feel pain when you hit the table? Yes. But you are no longer completely confused. Each bump teaches you something. You move the chair slightly. You step around it more skillfully next time. The lamp is the Dharma. Learning the Dharma does not mean that all your furniture disappears overnight. It means that you start to see where it is. You become less surprised by your own patterns. And over time, by moving things, by walking differently, by using the lamp, the room becomes easier to navigate. As a lay practitioner, your goal is not to become flawless. Your goal is to become more aware, to catch yourself in the middle of old habits and say, here I am doing it again. Next time, I want to choose differently. Every time you notice, every time you adjust even slightly, you are already changing the direction of your destiny. Maybe today you still explode in anger, but you apologize faster. Maybe next year you catch yourself 1 second earlier and choose silence instead. Maybe 10 years from now, you still feel the spark, but it burns less fiercely and fades faster. This might not look impressive from the outside. Inside, it is monumental. It means that the forces of greed, anger, and ignorance that have been running your life are slowly losing their absolute control. Let us bring this all the way back to you, sitting here with your own life. Perhaps you came to the Dharma because you wanted some protection, some peace, some sense of comfort. That is completely understandable. But as you keep walking, you may discover that the Dharma gives you something deeper than good luck in the worldly sense. It gives you an inner strength that does not collapse when circumstances are hard. That strength comes from respecting cause and effect, from understanding that your life is not random, from caring about the suffering of others, from longing for wisdom more than you long for superficial success. If you would like, you can start today with a very small vow, not a grand declaration, but a simple inner decision. I will not demand that I become enlightened overnight. I will simply ask myself to be a little more aware than yesterday. Maybe today, you listen more carefully when your child speaks, instead of half-mindedly listening with your eyes on your phone. Maybe today, at work, you choose not to participate in gossip that tears down a colleague. Maybe tonight, before you sleep, you take 3 minutes to review your day and ask, where could I have spoken more kindly? What could I let go of? These simple practices, repeated day after day, do something profound. They quietly change the way your mind moves. And when your mind moves differently, your destiny cannot help but follow. One day, you may look back and realize that the people and events that once drove you crazy no longer hold such power. You may realize that the situations you hated most actually pushed you to grow the most. You may see that being a lay practitioner, with all its messiness, was not a consolation prize, but a powerful path in its own right. Before we finish, I want to speak directly to your heart. No matter where you are right now, no matter how good or bad you think your practice has been so far, if you are still willing to join your hands in respect, if you are still willing to remember the Dharma when you are upset, if you are still willing to try again after failing, then you are already walking the path. Sometimes you will walk slowly. Sometimes you will wander off and need to find your way back. Sometimes you will sit down and say, I am tired. All of that is okay. What matters is that your direction remains turned toward awakening. Wisdom, cause and effect, compassion, and practice. You do not need to become a different person in order to practice. You are already someone's child, someone's parent, someone's partner, someone's colleague. You can also be a traveler on the road of awakening at the same time. The Dharma does not ask you to abandon your human roles. It asks you to infuse them with more clarity and warmth. If anything in this long conversation has touched something in you, I would be very grateful if you share your story. How did you begin to learn the Dharma? What has been hardest about practicing as a layperson? Have there been moments when a small shift in your attitude changed a whole situation? Your experience, however ordinary it may seem to you, could be a precious light for someone else who is exhausted and wondering if their practice is real enough. If this script has offered you insight, encouragement, or companionship on your path as a lay practitioner, please remember that you can support this space. You can subscribe so that you stay connected with future reflections on awakening, wisdom, cause and effect, compassion, practice, and destiny. You can like and comment to help these messages reach others. If you feel moved, you can even become a member, helping to sustain this little online refuge where we remind each other that it is possible to walk the spiritual path right in the middle of everyday life. Thank you, from my heart, for staying with me to the very last word. May you remember that your home can be your practice home. May you remember that your family can be your teachers. May you remember that your work can be your training ground. May your trust deepen, your ethics stabilize, your steadiness grow, your actions become kinder, and your ordinary days slowly turn into a continuous path of awakening.
There are moments when you see something, and your heart simply whispers, "This one is meant for me." Bracelet carries more than beads. It carries intention, protection, and quiet strength. Something to guide your thoughts and keep your spirit steady. If you felt that gentle pull toward any of the bracelets shown, the purchase link is waiting in the description, and the full collection is displayed on our channel store. Follow your intuition. It rarely leads you wrong.